Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to get into today's video. We are talking about Final Girls. I'm going to be discussing the first 14 chapters, and if you missed my last video, I talked about how I'm going to be doing my current reads reviews. So I'm going to be breaking each book into 3 different parts, beginning, middle, and end. And obviously for books like that are bigger or longer, like I might break them into even more parts, but that's kind of the general way that I'm going to be doing these videos. So today's video is chapter 1 through 14, the beginning of Final Girls. Definitely subscribe if you want to see the rest of the parts. I haven't finished the book, so I'm giving you my thoughts up until this point. There will be no spoilers, and then before I start giving you spoilers, I will tell you on screen verbally. There will be lots of warnings that spoilers are coming. Let's go ahead and get into the non-spoiler section of the video. Okay, I got too excited and I got into talking about the review, but I forgot that before I start the review or anything talking about the book, I want to read the synopsis for people who have not read the book. That way you guys can follow along and kind of get a vibe for it if you haven't read it yet. So it says, 10 years ago, 6 friends went on vacation. One made it out alive. In the instant, college student Quincy Carpenter became a member of a very exclusive club, a club of survivors the press dubbed the Final Girls. Lisa, who lost 9 sorority sisters to a college dropout's knife, Sam, who endured the sack man during her shift at the Nightlight Inn, and Quincy, who ran bleeding through the woods to escape the massacre at Pine Cottage. Despite the media attempts, the 3 girls never met. Now Quincy is doing well, maybe even great, thanks to her Xanax prescription. She has a caring almost fiance, a popular baking blog, a beautiful apartment, and therapeutic presence in Coop, the police officer who saved her life. Her mind won't let her recall the events of the night, the past is in the past, until the first final girl is found dead in her bathtub, and the second final girl appears on Quincy's doorstep. Blowing through Quincy's life like a hurricane, Sam seems intent on making her relive the trauma of her ordeal. When disturbing details about Lisa's death emerge, Quincy desperately tries to unravel Sam's truth from her lies when evading both the police and bloodthirsty reporters. Quincy knows that in order to survive, she has to remember what really happened at Pine Cottage, because the only thing worse than being a final girl is being a dead one. So now we're going to get into my thoughts. Okay, I have tons of notes because I didn't take notes like while I was reading, so I had to kind of go through today and like recap what I was thinking. So the vibe so far, I immediately was like hooked. I love a good book that just like starts out with a mystery. Like I want to know what's happening, and so it had me hooked. I'm excited to find out what's going on. I'm really liking the pacing of the book. I feel like as soon as it starts to kind of dip and I start to get a little bored, it goes to a flashback, and so I really like that because it grabs my attention again, and then I'm more interested for like the more boring plotty points of the book, like where you have to know this information but it's not as fun to like read through. There's no action, it's just like background so that you can understand the significance of other things. So I'm definitely liking the pacing of this book. I'm thinking it's going to be a good book. I am not sure where it's going, so I'm really interested to see what happens. I'm definitely liking it so far. I am not somebody who's going to like DNF a book, really. Like I've only done that to one book and it was an autobiography, but I'm just like not somebody who's not going to finish a book. Like I have to know how it ends, so generally I am gonna finish a book, but this one, like, I definitely want to know how it ends. I think it's a good story so far. I'm excited. If you haven't read it, I would definitely recommend getting caught up the next chapters. Let me see what the next chunk of chapters is going to be. I'll put on screen what chapters the next parts are going to be. That way, if you want to read along, you can catch up. But anyway, so if you haven't read and you like a good like mystery thriller, keeps you on your toes, definitely recommend this one so far. I may change my thoughts at the end of this, but right now I'm liking it. Now we're going to get into the spoilers. This is your warning. There will be spoilers from here on. I'm going to talk about the plot. I'm going to talk about the characters. If you're somebody who's read this book, you're going to be able to follow along with what I'm saying, and I want to know all your thoughts too. Okay, so the opening scene where she is just running through a forest caught my attention, like obviously, and I have to know what happened. She has to know what happened. I want to know what happened. We're gonna figure it out together, okay? So I'm so excited to figure out what happened because my mind is like only thinking rational thoughts. Like obviously this guy, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I can't think of anything that's going to catch me off guard, and I know that Riley Sager has a way of catching me off guard, so I'm very excited to see like what's actually happening. Coop, the cop, which we could have given him a different name, who saved her life and like You guys, I had to Google how old both of them were because I was having a hard time placing how old Quincy is. I was getting like early 20s vibe, and then at some points I was thinking maybe she's in her 30s, and I was like, maybe I missed it, I don't know, but Google says she's in her like mid 20s, early 20s. And Coop apparently is like in his 40s or 50s, which I definitely caught that vibe from the book. But are they gonna fall in love? Like, I don't know if that's me being crazy or if I'm just like too much in both the thriller and mystery genre and the romance genre to where I'm like, there's a vibe. There's definitely something there. There's like some tension. Like, he wouldn't let her touch him when they're sitting talking about Lisa dying. There's like tension. Like, what is that? What are we doing? Anyway, I don't know. We'll figure it out by the end and we will discuss, even though it probably has nothing to do with the book and it's probably not going to happen, but there are some signs and we'll get into it. But anyway, so chapter 2, we find out that one of the other final girls has died. And honestly, the one thing about this book that I'm not loving so far, maybe I'm just like not in tune with things, but like I don't see why the connection between these three girls was labeled final girls. Like, I get the idea of final girl. I don't understand why these three would have caught media attention. Like, they're not related at all. They're not, I don't know, like, to me there has to be some sort of like connection where like real life cases for some reason pick up in the media and you understand why. I don't understand why these three people were connected like in this story. I don't know. That's kind of the one thing that takes me out of it, is like they're just supposed to be these three girls who are like from completely different situations. Like, yes, I understand they were all final girls, but to me it just doesn't make sense why the media would have like clumped them all together, especially because they didn't happen at the same time. Okay, so now after Lisa dies and the reporters start to like hang out around the apartment and they're trying to catch Quincy and everything, she runs into Sam, and off the bat I got bad vibes, which sucks. I never have read a book with the name Samantha in it, and that just sucks that she's like my least favorite character ever. She's obviously got bad intentions, there's bad vibes, I do not like her, something's off, and I just don't. I'm getting horrible vibes, and we see that throughout the next chapters. She's like influencing her to steal. She's like just getting her in all kinds of trouble. She has a name change, which like they make it seem understandable, but like I think there's something else going on there, and I definitely think she's there for all the wrong reasons. Like, I don't think her intentions are good, and I think something's up, and I'm not sure what, because like they have no connection to each other besides being final girls, so I'm not sure like what's gonna happen. That's why I'm so hooked. Like, I have to know what all of this means. I also hate that she's trying to get Quincy to relive her past. Like, obviously it's probably going to be therapeutic for Quincy to figure out like what happened, but let her figure it out on her own time. Or like, if she doesn't want to figure it out, she doesn't want to figure it out. I don't understand why she's being so pushy. Like, obviously we're gonna find that out, but like, girl, calm down. Like, if you want to relive your trauma, that's fine. I don't have to, you know? So I just do not like her. She's being too pushy, she's suspicious, and I don't like her. Okay, then we get a flashback in chapter 8 of the man knocking on their door while they're all in the forest. Quincy and all her friends are in the forest and they're walking back to the house that they're staying at. There's a man knocking on their door and they let him in. Hello? Why are we letting strange men into our homes? I absolutely was like, what? Like, it made no sense to me, but then I put myself in like a 18-year-old shoes, and I definitely know friends who would have put us in that situation and would have let a strange man knocking on our door in the middle of the night claiming to have car trouble into the house to party with us. Like, I absolutely can name like 3 people off the top of my head that would have done that and put us in that situation. So it doesn't make sense to me. I'm curious to see what's going on with him, because they're describing him as like timid and almost like he didn't plan to be there. Like, his demeanor is giving off the vibe of like he wants to leave, but obviously I don't think that's gonna happen. So I'm very curious to see what happens there, and if it's not actually gonna be him that's the murderer. Chapter 10 and 11, Quincy's boyfriend fiance is like very suspicious of Sam, rightfully so, and he's kind of getting on my nerves, honestly. He's like not being supportive enough, but he's also being like overly protective. I don't know. I think we're gonna end up hating him. I'll get into my predictions in a second, but as of right now, I think he's being super reasonable, like being so cautious of Sam, because like, first of all, the police, like, can you not get the police involved in our lives the first day we're meeting you? Like, can we calm down a little bit? So he definitely has a right to be like as protective as he is, but I also feel like as soon as he had to get busy with work, he was like, oh, you can babysit each other, basically. Like, okay, now all of a sudden you don't care about my well-being, like, because you have to go to work, you're gonna let me hang out with this girl that you didn't like 2 seconds ago. Like, what is that? I don't like it. I don't like him. He gave me bad vibes. More on that later. Okay, and then the moment that Sam unlocked Quincy's drawer where she keeps all of her shiny objects so that she can see herself in different reflections, that would have been it for me. I would have been like, get out of my house. Like, what are you doing? Like, picking my locks and like, what are you doing? Like, that is so rude. And like, I just don't understand why that wasn't an immediate, like, I can't trust this person, they're crazy. That was kind of like, I don't know if Quincy is just like desperate for friends, which like it definitely seems like that. She doesn't have any other friends. I just feel like I'm not sure to be friends with somebody who like is ruining my life and trying to make me relive trauma, getting me in trouble, and breaking stuff in my house to find like my secret drawer of things that my husband doesn't even know about. You know what I mean? Like, let's calm down. We don't need friends that bad. So that's basically all that's happened so far. We just get bad vibes from Sam. We're trying to figure out what's going on with her, what she's up to, what's gonna come from that. And Jeff is like supposed to be this good, supportive person, but he's so busy with work. And then we've got Coop, who's like overly protective and hot, probably. I don't know. He's really hot in my head. He's giving me like Charlie Swan / the guy from Stranger Things. I don't know his name, but I'll put a picture. I don't watch Stranger Things, but that guy, he's giving me like that kind of vibe. Okay, not the point. We're just getting kind of introduced to everybody in these first couple chapters, so there's not a whole lot to like say, but I'm into it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see because Riley has a way of twisting things that you just never expect, and so I'm very excited to see where it goes, who killed everybody. Okay, some absolutely standout moments for me so far though have been the description of her dress, how Coop thought she was wearing a red dress because she was covered in so much blood. That's got to be traumatizing for both of them. Okay, in my notes for like this section where I wanted to talk about like notable like quotes or moments or something or descriptions, I have the red dress description written down, and then my second bullet point is need Coop. Just need Coop. I don't know. He's hot in my head, you guys. I don't even know if they described him as being hot. He's just like... I think this says too much about myself. I'm gonna stop. Okay, so I am having a problem with like figuring out what the ending is gonna be. I've watched soap operas basically my entire life. I can always see a twist coming. Like I can always predict when there's like an evil twin, when somebody's gonna be poisoned, when I can always do it. So that's been like kind of a struggle for me, is like some books I can predict the ending before it happens, and that kind of sucks. So this one I'm not sure, because it would be too easy for that man they let in the house kill everybody. So I'm eager to see what is actually the truth. In Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, I had no idea the twist was coming in this one, and I thought I knew everything. Like, and that's the thing, he always sets you up to think you know what's gonna happen. He gives you enough to where you feel like, oh duh, this is the ending, and then the ending just catches you off guard. So I'm very excited to see what it actually ends up being. Now moving on to the section where we're going to discuss my predictions for the next part of the book. Personally, I think Sam is like up to no good. I think she's there for the money. I think she might have known that Quincy's boyfriend or whatever is a lawyer or something. Like, I think she's there for money. I think she's there for a place to stay, and she knows that Quincy's vulnerable because Lisa just died. So I think she like knew she could prey on her. And I also think that she contacted the reporter to get paid for the picture of them hugging when she approached Quincy in the street, like outside of her apartment. I think that's what the reporter was trying to tell her. Okay, I also think that Jeff is the boyfriend's name. I think his case that he's defending the cop killer, I think that case is going to be way more important to the story for Quincy than we're aware of. Like, they kind of just keep casually mentioning it. A part of me feels like it's just so we can understand why he's so busy, but the other part of me is like, okay, this has to, they wouldn't specify that it's a cop killer case so many times unless it's going to be something that ties in at the end. So I'm really curious to see if it ties in at the end to something that has to do with like Quincy, the cottage murders, or maybe Sam's murders, and that's why she's there. She's really there for the boyfriend, maybe. I don't know. Okay, and then I think what's gonna happen is Jeff is gonna get way too busy with work. He's gonna leave Sam with Quincy, and Quincy's gonna end up falling in love with Coop, which there might be an age gap there, but I don't know. I'm here for it. I don't know. I haven't read in so long, and I read, like I said earlier, thrillers, mysteries, and romance. So like I think they're just like intertwining in my head, and I can't remember if like a lot of the books I read have had that crossover or if I'm just being so delusional. But we'll see. Maybe I'm right. If they don't end up together, that would make sense, but also would be sad and disappointing. The tension is there. He wouldn't let her touch him. So those are all my thoughts on the first 14 chapters of Final Girls. I will be back not in the next video, but the video after that with part 2, where I talk about these chapters. For the next section, we're going to discuss all my thoughts, what's going on, my predictions for the end of the book. And if you are looking for something to read, pick up this book and read it with me. That way the next video you can be tuned in. I'm thinking I'm going to be posting once a week, so this video will go up as you're seeing it this week. Next week will be a separate review. I'm going to be discussing The Hike and my thoughts on it. This was the first book I talked about in my first video. I'm going to do a full review on this. The week after that, I will be doing part 2. So if you're watching this as it's posted, I will be doing a review of the second part of the book in 2 weeks. If you want to catch up, you have time. Definitely subscribe if you're interested in seeing the rest of this series. If you're interested in seeing me talk more about other books, let me know in the comments how you're feeling about these first 14 chapters. Please make sure you're staying within the first 14 chapters. I don't want any spoilers. I don't want anybody else in the comments to be spoiled. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my thoughts. Let me know if you've read this book, if you liked it, if I'm gonna like it. I'll see you in the next one.